Genau.
Wir kriegen's hin, oder?
Genau.
Welcome to the press conference of the EPP Vision for Agriculture in Europe. We have here our EPP Group Chairman, Mr. Manfred Weber, Group Vice-Chair, Mr. Siegfried Mureşan, our Agri-Committee Chair, Mr. Norbert, and EPP Spokesman of the Agri-Committee, Herbert Dorfmann. So, gentlemen, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you so much for your interest, and the idea is that the European People's Party is showing to the public, but also to the interested parts of our European debate, that we are the Farmers' Party, and we are proud about this. We are the party of rural areas. We care about the rural areas, about their developments, and that is our DNA. That is what we are standing for. We have a lot of support all over Europe from farmers, from people in rural areas, and that's why with this event we want to underline we care, we listen, we respect, and we want to get an idea about the next steps in front of us. This conference is also part of the broader perspective to prepare our EPP programmatic profile for the next European elections, and there this sector will be crucial for us. I want to underline that food and producing good, high-quality food in a sustainable way is extremely important for the future of Europe. We took it probably too much for granted that this is automatically there. In other parts of the world, they understand that this is a strategic question to provide our citizens with high-quality food produced in a sustainable way. That is our main message, and again, we have today a lot of friends from the EPP community there, national level, European level, ministers from different parts, and I'm looking forward for a very fruitful discussions again that we show as EPP, the Farmers' Party.
Thank you. Mr. Mureşan.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is the day in which the European People's Party comes together with the farming community from all over Europe. We are here to start developing a positive agenda for the next years for agriculture in Europe. The scope of the EPP is to continue to be an advocate of farmers, but of rural areas as a whole. We see rural areas as a source of employment, as the habitat for so many families to live, as the source of high-quality, safe food for hundreds of millions of Europeans. We're going to continue to defend the rural areas, and our objective is to make sure that there is no discrepancy in living standards between the urban and the rural areas in Europe. It is about farming, it is about supporting farmers and agriculture, but our objective is also to improve infrastructure in rural areas, to digitize rural areas, to make sure that there is innovation in the area of agriculture taking place, and that people in the rural areas have infrastructure as good as in the urban areas. Our objective today is also to listen. We have invited to the European Parliament farmers and representatives of farmers from all member states of the Union, also from neighboring countries outside of the European Union. We're looking forward to hearing from them what they need from our side in order for them to be able to produce also in the future. Last point, we as the European People's Party are committed to further attracting farmers into rural areas, and we are committed to supporting young farmers. Year after year, the group of the European People's Party insists, when we negotiate the budget, for example, to increase the funding for young farmers in rural areas. For the budget negotiations for next year, we have together also as an EPP put forward an amendment and demanded 45 million euros more of funding dedicated especially to young farmers, because we believe that if we manage to attract more young farmers to the rural areas, that is a structural improvement of the rural areas, and it creates positive long-term premises. Thank you very much for joining. We will be looking forward to taking your questions after all interventions.
Thank you. Mr. Linz, please.
Thank you very much. As we would like to send out some messages this day as EPP, and when it comes to the common agriculture policy, one of the messages will be that the CAP will remain the most important policy for the farming community, and we need to fully evaluate the current CAP, and this includes having a closer look at how it works in practice, especially when it comes to the new so-called eco schemes. And seeing the war in Ukraine and referring to the so-called GAIC 8, the set-aside policy specifically, we also realized that tools to change the CAP according to new development remain slightly limited. And as a clear message for today, we have to go on with the prolongation of the derogation of GAIC 8. And I think that we have to keep in mind for the next period after 2027 that there is a need to decide how flexible the CAP should be. And I want to also point out for a future CAP we need a strong economic pillar that enables the transition to more sustainable farming practices, supports generational renewal and protects farmers better in a highly volatile global market. Thank you.
And Mr. Dorfmann, please.
Good afternoon. I think changes are always challenging. It is always easier to keep everything as it is. And we know perfectly that we need changes in agriculture. But if you want to change, first of all, you need to know where you want to go. And I personally have the impression very often if we speak about agriculture, somebody thinks that we can improve going backwards to the good old times, forgetting that in the good old times, people in Europe died from hunger. This we tend to forget. And we in the EPP, we believe that we need to go forward. We need to invest in innovation. We believe in new breeding techniques. We believe in new technology. And this needs to be a positive way which needs to be developed together with farmers. And this is the idea of this conference of this afternoon, to bring together ministers, members of the parliament, members of the parliament working on agricultural topics here in the House, but also farmers, to speak together about the future of our farmers. And this is very much in line with what Ursula von der Leyen announced last week when she said in the State of the Union speech that we need to create a new platform because we need to speak together. Who makes law and who is on the field. What concerns me most, and I think what is the most important thing, is how we keep agriculture, farming interesting for young people. I was very, very surprised 2 weeks ago we had the Youth Week here, the EPP Youth Week, and at the end these young people had to decide what is the most important topic for them. And they did not vote for artificial intelligence or whatever. The most important thing, they consider modern, innovative farming. And this is very, very interesting. And I think there is a ground to work with these young people because we need young people in agriculture. We can have the nicest, the most innovative politics for farmers if we do not have farmers. And this, I think on this we need to have a look how to create an environment where this sector remains attractive for our young people.
Thank you. Now we have 10 minutes for your questions. Please raise your hands and indicate your name and media. And if you want to point specifically to someone, please do that. In the front row, please.
Maciek Zakrocki, Talk FM Radio Poland. The conference is during a hot times or difficult time. As you know very well, there is a conflict between some countries who decided to establish their own embargo on Ukrainian products, some Ukrainian products. This is against the European rules. But on the other hand, the politicians in these countries would want to help their own farmers. Having this problem of overwhelming import of Ukrainian goods to these countries. So do you see that there will be also the chance during the conference to talk about this hot issue? And now do you have any comment about this, how to deal with the 3 points, how to help farmers in these countries, how to help Ukraine, and how to avoid breaking of EU rules?
Okay, who wants to take the floor?
Firstly, of course, the European People's Party will always be the advocate of a rules-based approach in everything. We are the party of the rule of law. We are the ones who always respect every piece of legislation and who also ask everyone else to respect legislation, firstly. Secondly, we have been the only political family in recent months to consistently and always advocate for support of farmers, knowing that the agriculture sector was one of the sectors that had to cope with the most volatility since the beginning of the war. Thirdly, we have seen last week the statement of the European Commission in which it says that it believes it can, through work with Ukraine, make sure that there will be no negative consequences for the farmers in these member states. I am myself coming from Romania. I know there were challenges on the ground, so the European Commission wants to work in a European spirit in a way in which we help Ukraine, but we also provide support to European farmers and do not let them down. We as an EPP believe in a European, in a united approach which will bridge, make a bridge between helping Ukraine and helping farmers in our countries.
Okay, more questions. Sophie.
Sophie Dupuis for Context. I have two questions. First, again on Ukraine. The next CAP will be discussed during the next mandate. How do you see the potential impact of Ukraine joining the EU on the CAP? Do we have to rethink the CAP and direct payments? And the second question on what the President of the Commission announced last week on a strategic dialogue on the future of agriculture. How do you understand these announcements? Does it mean that the Commission has to stop the farm-to-fork strategy and to give up on the legislation on animal welfare and on sustainable food systems that were announced for this fall? Thank you.
Well, on the second point, allow me to add one consideration. The Green Deal was supported by the EPP family. We voted from 32 out of 34 legislative files. Green Deal is our deal. Ursula von der Leyen, also part of the EPP family, presented this, and we are proud about this. We know that this is needed. The fight against climate change especially is our historic mission of our generation of today. There's no doubt about this. But what I want to add, and that is also what makes us happy after listening to Ursula von der Leyen, is that politics has a lot to do with showing respect, with listening, with taking care. And I want to be very clear. I think with the departure of Franz Timmermans, there is an atmosphere where people see now that there is a chance that all aspects can be content-based, in a fair discussion, really recognized as good arguments. And that is what we need. We need to win people to support the changes in front of us and not make them afraid and not provoke them. That's why this approach of listening, what I see now from Maroš Šefčovič, what I see also in the State of the Union speech from Ursula von der Leyen, is exactly what we need to bring things together, to cooperate in a way that finally Green Deal works. So that is a great chance, that is an opportunity, and we want to use it.
Maybe I can add on the question on the CAP. As we had the accession of the 10 member states in 2004 and then 2007 with Romania and Bulgaria, we had to rethink the CAP as well, as there were new member states with a lot of land, with a lot of arable land, which is now covered by the European Union or part of the European Union. I think it's much more challenging to integrate the highly competitive Ukrainian market into the European Union than the challenges which are ahead of us with the integration or the possible integration of Ukraine into the common agriculture policy.
Let's go. There was one hand on the room. Did I see? No. Okay, let's go online. We have one question online here.
Yes, hello, Axel Mönch, Agrarzeitung. You can hear me?
Yes, we can. Yes, go on. Okay. Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead. We can hear you. Okay.
Cannot hear us.
No. Well, the audio was one-sided. Let's take one from the room. Please.
Consul from Aska News Italy. Can you tell us what you expect exactly from the Commission now that there is no Timmermans anymore, and you appreciate it? We appreciate that they listen to you. What do they have to change in the stuff that's on the table now? I mean, the restoration of nature, or what is exactly that we can write in our articles that you now expect that will be taken as a serious point by the Commission without Timmermans? Thanks.
I can be very clear. Again, the first probably is up to you whether it's worth to write about it, but I tell you that as a politician, I tell you the main message is having now a platform to sit together and find a common understanding how to solve problems, bridging things, bringing things together, respecting the interests of rural areas and farmers in the dialogue, in the process. That is what we need, and that was clearly announced. That is a great step towards finding good, sustainable, long-term solutions on the aspects in front of us. So if I may say so, on the legislative side, we finalized already a lot. That's why this mandate is already at the end. But it's more about the style. It's more about the future perspective. And there, the announcements of Ursula von der Leyen are very welcomed.
Thank you. Time for one short question.
Bartosz Brzezinski, Politico. I have a question on the SUR, the Pesticides Reduction Law, New Genomic Techniques, and the Nature Restoration Law. On the SUR specifically, does EPP intend to follow the same strategy as with the Nature Restoration Law and try to vote it down in the Parliament, in the committees, but also in plenary? And now with the departure of Timmermans, do you also foresee that it will be maybe easier to achieve compromises and consensus on these different files?
Well, on new genomic techniques, we will for sure not try to vote it down. We are supporting the proposal of the Commission. We think that the Commission made a very good proposal, and we are working on this. On the sustainable use of pesticides, it's a bit like the nature restoration law. We worked for months in order to have a positive approach and to have a common approach. And this we are doing in this moment on the sustainable use of pesticides. So we are working in the Agri Committee, in the Envi Committee, in order to have a compromise which we think is suitable. If we are able to achieve this, we will support the proposal. If not, we need to have the same approach. But I think also in the nature restoration law, we never said from the very beginning that we will vote it down.
Thank you. Unfortunately, we have to wrap up this conference now because the hemicycle people are waiting. There are hundreds of people, so thank you for participating. You are all welcome to join the Congress upstairs. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.